Welcome to Ibex for the first time. When you first launch Ibex, you'll be taken to the File menu. It gives you quick access to some standard functions like create a new drawing, open an existing drawing, or launch the AutoCAD interface. The Recent Files menu will give you access to any current or existing drawing that you have previously used, and you can open it by selecting the line item here. You can also access the save as, import, export standard functions here. If you prefer to work in dark mode, you can toggle that here with the dark mode button. The important thing for your first setup will be to open the preferences menu. This will open the preferences dialog and it'll give you access to the default behavior of Ibex. And the important thing to check is the units. So in the units tab, this gives you the default units that Ibex will work in. Now on install, Ibex will prompt you if you want to work in inches or millimeters. So depending on what you selected, your defaults will be set here. However, if you want to adjust these, this is where you can do that. So I installed in inches, and so my default length unit is inches, time is seconds. However, the default install is inches per second, and I prefer to work in inches per minute for my speed units. So if I select that, it'll change that. When I select OK, that's now my unit used across Ibex. Now I can go back to the File menu to create a new drawing, or I can access it here in the Quick Access menu. And here I can get started drawing. Now for your first startup, there are two other things that are important to check. The first is the tool library. I can select that here in the manufacturing ribbon. The tool library interface gives me access to all the tools that are currently loaded in Ibex. And Ibex ships with a default tool library, and these tools represent kind of a general tool profile for their size, like the 1/4-inch end mill here. Now, these might represent tools that you have and want to use, but you'll likely need to come in and double check that these are correct or replace them with tools that reflect what you have and are going to use. So to add a new tool, you can select Add Tool from the upper right. There will be a new menu that opens. I can give this tool a name. And here I have end mill selected, so I'm going to create an end mill. It's added to my library here. And I can come down here and tweak the parameters. Let's say this is a custom tool. I could add it, 0.3 and give it a nice tall length. You'll notice that as I adjust, this is a preview here to give me a sense of the profile of the tool as I'm creating it. So for an end mill, it's not all that exciting. It's a rectangle. As you get into kind of your engraving tools, you'll be able to see the profile and make sure it matches the tool that you're holding in your hand. And with that set, I can click OK and save the library. And the last thing you'll want to check is your machine setup. So this gives me access to the active post processor, and this is what will translate the codes for your machine when you're ready to output. So by default, Ibex ships with a number of default post processors, and I can view them by selecting the Active Posts button. This opens a menu that shows me all of the posts that come with Ibex, and it shows which ones are active. And so here what I want to do is select the machines or the post processors that I actually want to use, so that this will thin down the number of post processors that you see in this menu so that you don't have to constantly dig through all the post processors that you could use. So if I want to add one, I can select it from the list, click Close, and then now in my Posts menu, I'm only going to see the machines that I actually have in my shop that I'm going to use. This could be one machine, this could be 10, just depending on how many different post processors you're going to need. So then select that post, and then I have 3 different adjustments here. So the post parameters are the general parameters. These are kind of set and forget parameters that you shouldn't really need to look at or adjust. If you're using labeling, those parameters are down here at the bottom. A lot of the speeds, feeds, resolution probably don't need to be adjusted. If you do, be careful about adjusting them. Otherwise, contact support and we're happy to work with the machine manufacturer to get those set correctly. The ones you might want to look at are these options here. So this has the auto tool changer active, drill bank active, and some of the standard parameters. So you can set those and then click OK, and those are updated. This is where you can adjust your auto tool changer. So if I select the auto tool changer, I now can see I have 5 tool positions in my current configuration. I can increase that or decrease that to match the number of tools I actually have. I can clear the tools out and then reload. There's that new tool I just created. Select that, load it in position 2, select OK, and that's set up. And similar with the drill bank. So in this case, I have an empty drill bank. I can add tools, and then I can fill it with a tool. Let's say let's just fill it with the tool I just created. And then here I can quickly do a layout of the tools. So now I've got a quick layout of my tools and a visualization of their position. This is set to 32 millimeter spacing, which is the standard spacing. That can be adjusted by selecting the parameters here. And then there's my default spacing. If you have different spacing, as well as some other parameters here. So with the drill bank set up, click OK. In this case, the drill bank is deactivated because I don't actually have a drill bank on this machine. It's going to ask me if I want to activate it rather than having to go back to the post parameters and activate it. Like I said, don't actually have a drill bank on this machine, so I'm going to say no and leave it deactivated. It'll go ahead and save that configuration, but it won't actually output to a drill bank because it's deactivated. If I close out of that, now I'm ready to start drawing and start working in Ibex.